Hello, and welcome to Embodying Mystical Mac. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Today, we have a video I really wish I wasn't making because I wanted to like this show so bad. I wanted it to be so good. So without further ado, let's get into my rant review of Wednesday, the Netflix original. First of all, I would like to let you know I am going to be pretty harsh here because I was taken out of it. I was viscerally pulled out of the experience several times per episode because of things that I'm going to mention. So if you liked the show, it was for you, all that good stuff, and you don't want to deal with all this, please go ahead and click off. Genuinely, it's all good. It was not for me, and I'm going to express all the reasons why. And I'm not, while I'm going to be very constructive in my criticism, meaning this is not me just trying to hate on the show. This is like genuine criticisms that legitimately dampened the entire experience for me to the point of it being like at best entertaining, at worst kind of a waste of my time. But also I'm not gonna hold back my annoyance and occasionally my rage at these writers and producers for allowing something that could have been a boom smash hit to just fucking tank so brilliantly, okay? So you've been warned. If you don't like this attitude, you can leave. It's okay. I have other videos where I'm being awesome and sweet and constructive and lovely. I mean, I'm being constructive here too, but rather I'm being constructive without my little attitude, and you can go check those out. I'm sure you'll enjoy those. Yeah, okay, you've been warned. Here we go. Let's just get into it, shall we? I will give you my spoiler-free rant review. It's not for the viewer that likes to figure things out on their own. It's not for the viewer that really loved the originality and ingenuity of the original Addams Family. It's definitely not for the viewer that knows the brilliance of Addams Family musical and just knows how much better the Wednesday Getting Older story is done on that route. Yeah, I'm pretty biased, but if you're someone who like really enjoys good writing, who enjoys like actually figuring out the mystery along with your protagonist, along with the show, you're not gonna like this. And I will get into why if you want to stick around. But in a nutshell, everything that matters is 100% spoon-fed to you at one point or another before you ever even get a chance to think about figuring it out. I will say there are a couple of redeeming qualities. The character of Enid and her friendship with Thing, that is a redeeming quality. The casting of the actual Addams Family I thought was really good, and I really do believe that Jenny Ortega did the best that she could with what she had, and she in and of herself is obviously an actress with some great chops, so I'm just sad for her that this is the Wednesday she had to play. Yeah, with all that said, in my opinion, it's not a smart show. It's at best entertaining, and like I said, at worst, kind of a waste of your time. I would just watch the Addams Family movie with Christina Ricci from the past, or I don't know, I haven't seen the new like 3D animated Addams Family renditions, but I'm very curious to see if they're of substance now, because this was just such a disappointment. And then if you are like a musical theater person, or you like musicals in general, maybe you're not a musical theater kid or whatever, but you like musical theater, I would highly recommend Addams Family Musical. It's a funny show, it's clever, it's smartly written, okay, and it really does encompass the vibe of the Addams Family, in my opinion. Okay, so without further ado, spoilers ahead. I'm just gonna go into some detailed notes that I wrote here. Overall, unimaginative. Absolutely unimaginative. yeah, really, I made a little like short reel on my Instagram about this, but it's like, what is with the just incredibly lazy, rushed writing of these nostalgia projects that media has been doing lately, right? Like all the sequels, like even if they're like not necessarily terrible, like if you saw my Disenchanted movie, like I was talking about how it's not like a terrible movie, it was just on, like even the script isn't like a bad script or anything, it's just genuinely feels like it was written in 3 days and produced in 3 days, and then, you know, executed in as little time as possible. And therefore that takes what probably would have been a really fun script with imaginative ideas if they had let themselves get there, into something kind of mediocre and alright. This wasn't even that, okay? Like, it wasn't even it wasn't even a somewhat solidly written thing. It felt like they had 100 million ideas, put them all on a whiteboard, put all those ideas back into a hat, pulled out some shit, and then put them all on the whiteboard, and then were tasked with figuring out how it all was supposed to work out. And somehow it was still really incredibly unimaginative. Maybe I am so, you know, intensely invigorated about the unpredictability or the predictability of it all, because every bit of information, as I just said in my spoiler-free review, was fucking spoon-fed to you. Spoon-fed to you like you were the dumbest audience member that those writers have ever come across. And you need even anime style, like Kagome in her head style, exposition dumps all the fucking time. My God. Why? Tell me why. This isn't anime. This isn't a thing we're doing because it's a thing of the genre. This is Wednesday fucking Addams. Wednesday fucking Addams would make us figure out every little bit of detail that we could on our own. Not fucking spoon feed the entire thing to the entire audience. There were moments where they would let the moment hang. They would just let the moment sit there where like they let you figure something out for once, and like just like clockwork, 3 to 5 seconds later, boom, this is what it is. Stated by the show to your face, like you're an idiot who can't figure out basic plot points being basically spoon-fed to you without actually going as far as being told to you. But then they tell it to you anyway. It was infuriating. It was absolutely infuriating, especially for someone who, like, you know, really appreciates good writing, who's who's used to HBO style writing, and, you know, like, I'm sorry, I can only think of House of the Dragon right now because that's like the last thing that I finished that wasn't this. You know, but like that show, great example. You need to figure shit out, right? Even Game of Thrones, its predecessor, like the last couple seasons notwithstanding, those shows, like, it's brilliant to analyze those shows because you're not being spoon-fed every fucking detail. Not even close. Not even close. And things are thrown in there tastefully and mindfully so that you feel so good about yourself when you figure those things out. Yeah, no, this show did not know even what that means. Okay, so I saw an interview with Jenny Ortega where she said that Tim Burton's note to her was to blink as little as possible or something along those lines. When I tell you that as an actress, as a someone who has done many a film acting, many a you know, stage acting, for a director to actually give a note like that and think that it's of substance and decent and might actually help the actor do something that is genuinely motivated as if their character would do it. It's like saying, be mad right now. I don't know how many of you have been in a position to like act or whatever, but I'm certain you've been in positions, you know, where maybe you don't want to have, like, maybe you don't want to be out with your friends, but your friends are those kind of shitty friends that don't respect your boundaries and make you go out anyway. If that hit a nerve, in my opinion, that's a shitty friend. Doesn't have to mean so to you. But, you know, so you're definitely someone who does not want to be out right now, like, at all. And you just don't have the wherewithal to, like, fucking leave and upset your friends, right? When those friends are like, come on, just lighten up, have a fun, have a good time. How much does that actually work in helping you shift your mood? Without, like, gulping down some real part of you that's trying to have you listen to something real they're trying to say. I'm guessing it doesn't work. Same thing with the director giving such an arbitrary note, like blink as little as possible. Now, to flip that into a note that actually would help me personally, because I guess, like, Tim Burton sounds like not a great director based on this to me. Again, this whole video, my opinion. If you want to come at me for my opinion, just don't. It's my opinion. If you want to have a kind discussion about topics and things in the show, awesome. Put them down below. But, like, dear Tim Burton, if that is your note, I would like to up the ante a little, and instead of just telling her, hey, blink less, because now she's not focused on actually playing Wednesday and living from the mindset of Wednesday and all those things. Now she's just focused on blinking less, which is not what she's supposed to be focusing on. In order to rectify that, I would appeal to motivation. I'd be like, well, Wednesday genuinely loves torture. And, like, what is more torturous than not blinking your eyes for a significant amount of time? Like, that shit burns. It makes your eyes sting. It makes them water. It's very uncomfortable. Wednesday lives in discomfort to the point where she has this game with herself where she blinks absolutely as little as possible. Now that shit, if the director went with that, I'd be like, yeah. Because then I'm not just thinking, don't blink, don't blink, don't blink, don't blink, don't blink. I'm actually going, embrace the torture, embrace the torture, embrace the torture. And that would yield a much better performance, in my humble opinion, than just, hey, blink less. So what ended up happening, because of, I'm guessing now, funky notes that she was given, is it took about 3 episodes before I was like, okay, so she's not a carbon copy of Christina Ricci's Wednesday. Got it. This girl could actually make this character her own. Cool. And it's not that I ever doubted Jenny Ortega. No, like, she's been in quite a few things. She's obviously doing well for herself. Like, she's not a bad actress by any means. It's just one of those things where it's like when the script sucks and the directing is obviously subpar. But mostly the script sucks. Like, genuinely. You cannot fix a good script if that's what you're using to have your actors say their lines and to have everybody work off of. The ground, like, the foundation of your shit is shitty already. There is nowhere to go from that except maybe a couple floors up, a couple shoddy ass floors up. Okay? So maybe it wasn't crappy directing, or not even crappy, but subpar directing at times. Maybe it was just legitimately this script was completely unimaginative, 100% spoon-fed, and just sucked. But yeah, that just, like, really infuriated me as an actor. And it kind of served to explain to me, like, why it just felt like she was trying to act like Christina Ricci's Wednesday a lot of the time. Okay, I absolutely called, my boyfriend and I both, we called that Tyler was the beast, and we called that the plant lady was behind it. We never wavered. We called that shit episode 1 or 2. Probably 1. We never wavered. Ever. Oh, no, we called it at the first attack when Rowan dies. Boom. We never wavered. The fact that the show couldn't even do a good enough job at being what it's trying to be, which is like this, like, you know, mystery or whatever, to get us to waver from our original hunch that Tyler was the beast and what turns out to be Laurel Gates was behind it. That's sad. That's like straight up sad. If they're not trying to claim to be a mystery or whatever, fine, then okay. Then maybe it was, you know, they wanted the audience to know before Wednesday did. But that is not the case. This was very much like Nancy Drew-esque meets Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and they failed at both because they're neither. And yeah, let's just keep going. Too many plots. Yeah, there were way too many plots, most of which ended up unturned or just 100% poorly executed. But this is what happens when you shove way too many plots into one script that's already on shoddy foundation. Its core story is already on shaky ground. And then you go ahead and you add a bunch of shit. You get a fucking mess. You just get a mess, okay? You get way too many things, way too many threads trying to weave themselves to completion, and at best you get like half an Afghan with like unintentional fringes everywhere. Yeah. I'm gonna name some of the plots that went nowhere, were like incredibly poorly executed. Ween's rivalry with Morticia. It's like kind of framed like this thing that's supposed to keep going and is supposed to like have really fucked up Ween's life, and then it turns out that it really just fucked up some of her school years. Not even some, like just that one school year or whatever where she liked the same guy, right, which she liked Gomez, obviously. Or maybe she liked the Gates dude. No, the Gates dude didn't go there. You know, she liked Gomez, and he liked Morticia and asked her to the Raven dance instead of asking Ween's, and you know, that was basically the extent of it. There wasn't even like I was always living in her shadow, she was always trying to one-up me. Like, there was never, they definitely were scared to paint Morticia as like an actual rival, as like they, you know, and it's fine. I'm so glad, because Morticia having been a mean girl and like being reformed and that whole thing having to happen, that is just sucking out time we don't have already in this show, okay, because of just how much crap they decided to shove into it at once. So that was just one plot line that absolutely went nowhere. Next, I was really sad about this going nowhere. Uncle Fester. He is one of my favorite fucking characters from the Addams Family. I love him so much. And the fact that we got, God, I can't remember his name now. Fred Armisen, is that his name? They got him to play him, which he did such a good job. I loved him. The voice, the mannerisms, like all of it. It was all fucking awesome. And then it went nowhere. It went nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. He ended up having to go away because he stole a vehicle and the police caught on to it, and therefore it went nowhere. Which, like, why bring him then? Oh, I know, because they wanted Uncle Fester in there, and they were gonna get him in there no matter what, regardless of whether the script didn't call for it at all or he didn't help at all. They just wanted nostalgia bait. Which, you know what? It is so I'll get that to the end. It's fine. I'll save it to the end. Okay. The Nightshades, right? The fucking secret society that Goody Adams started. Why would you have a secret society if you're not gonna, like, make anything of it, really? Like, they would kind of just shove the Nightshades into places that they could, like, kind of sort of fit into, you know? Oh, you need a secret place where where what's-his-face's secret journals are hidden. Oh, it's in the Nightshades library. Oh, you need some sort of exclusivity so Enid can feel even more ostracized by her peers, even though she's like kind of popular. Oh, Nightshades, secret society. You need somewhere for where the snap came from, because we have to give that an origin story. Why? If you aren't gonna do a good job at giving the snap an origin story, just fucking leave it be. Let it be one of those Addams Family, that sounded weird accent, Addams Family's mysteries, right? Like, let it be one of those things, just like they say Thing is. Like, I appreciate them not trying to over-explain Thing. Kind of like set us up for a really loose magic system, which we're gonna get into, but alright. Okay, here we go. Let's get into that loose magic system. Goody Mentoring Wednesday. That shit went absolutely nowhere. In fact, it's infuriating that one went nowhere. Like, the Uncle Fester thing is like, oh, that sucks, and I'm annoyed because I feel like I just got taken advantage of for nostalgia bait, because they knew that I would love Uncle Fester being in there, but they didn't even bother to give him an actual execution of his character actually, and the being pertinent, whatever, we've already talked about it. This was not just aw, boo, but I guess I still somewhat fell for the nostalgia bait. I'm glad he was in there, because who knows if he's gonna end up in the next one. The Goody mentoring her going nowhere, that's actually really freaking fucking annoying and infuriating plot-wise, because Morticia makes a point to tell her that she's a raven, and if she doesn't train, she'll go mad, be driven mad by her visions. This is something the script said itself. Right? But then, because Wednesday gets stabbed in the gut, because we have to be that freaking extra. We really had to up the stakes that hard, you guys. We didn't if it was gonna come at the expense of this plot. Because now, if there is in season 2, they're just leaving a bunch of things open and unturned, but definitely one of the most important things, which is, hey, our protagonist is probably gonna go mad if she can never see Goody Adams again. Because Goody Adams kind of seemed to be the person who was supposed to teach her how to handle her shit, right? Is that not what the script tried to shove in our faces? But and I quote, "If we do this, you'll never see me again." In that moment where she steps into Wednesday's body or whatever and heals her of her stab wound, right? That was why. Why? Just why? It stinks. It reeks of, okay, we've gone too far. Wednesday can't die. Hail Mary, save her. How do we do that? Oh, yeah, let's bring Goody back, and they have to do this spell. And then if Goody enters her body, then she can't come back, which means that we're going to leave it open for season 2. Oh my God, is Wednesday going to go back? If any of this was set up even remotely well, fine. But the fact that, again, we're on 2 floors of shoddy-ass foundation that's about to crumble at any moment anyway, this just doesn't fucking cut it. It's stupid. It's second season bait, and it's not even hidden well. Again, though, really loose magic system, right? They set us up. Oh, it's one of the many Addams Family mysteries. Is it one of the many Addams Family mysteries that all of a sudden, because a ghost, which is just made of pure energy, steps into your body, that now it heals you somehow? Please explain that. There was never even a spell done. The only thing that they used to explain it is the talisman your mom gave you. It's very, very powerful, and it can allow me to do this. Bitch, why? Bitch, why that one? I could halfway almost even give this a pass if we had maybe encountered like a book or something about the talisman in the library. Like just something to show us that like maybe it's really ancient and it's like an Addams Family heirloom. Maybe it's one of those spooky Addams Family mysteries, like actually that comes all the way from Goody, and you know, like I might have given it a pass, honestly, but because they didn't even try, I hate that Xavier's dad, like, he gets harped on, but we never actually, like, there's nothing that we can actually hold on to about him to even, like, make us hate him as much as Xavier does, other than the fact that he's just absent, which I'm not saying that that's not enough, because if you're a parent and you're absent, you are not doing your job, and if your child does hate you, I completely understand. But for a show, again, that's trying to be clever, that's trying to be smart, that's about one of the most clever and intelligent characters to freaking ever, like, graze our, like, kooky pop culture. It's just like they could have given us something more about him, something more to grasp onto. Oh yeah, another plot line I forgot to mention that went absolutely nowhere. Oh, we're still on that. This is the last one. But now this is the last one. Ready? Xavier's dad, old news. Bianca's mom needing her to come back and like fix the siren songs or whatever. Like, how many candlesticks can we shove in a vase until they all start breaking upon us shoving new ones into it? That is the visual I got. How many storylines can we just like tear to shreds in the worst way possible for the sake of adding new ones? I don't know, you tell me. This show had a lot. Okay. Next point. Wednesday is a good old Mary Sue, as she knows everything and can do absolutely no wrong, except for when the show wants her to do wrong, which then it comes across not set up well enough for me to be like, so you're telling me this character that literally outsmarts everybody all the time can't see how aptly Xavier is being framed, right? Can't see things that you would think this character would be able to see. And if she can't see them, there is never a good enough reason given, except for maybe, oh, Wednesday got arrogant, oh, Wednesday's, inability to really, really empathize with people got in her way, which would be valid if, again, they made those things make sense. Wednesday, while apathetic, is kind of a manipulative mastermind, and not in the surface level way, especially if you do go by the Christina Ricci renditions and whatever. Like, she is a cunning little kid. Do you really think she would be so easily fooled as she was in those last couple episodes? Her apathy, while definitely should be a plot point in the sense that, like, yeah, doesn't bode well for relationships, it has never gotten in the way of her perception. And in fact, to ride with a narrative that is Wednesday's apathy is effing with her relationships and her friendships, because she's so tunnel visioned, because she's so cunning, because she's so cut and dry, really, really contradicts this idea that because she was developing feelings for Tyler, she didn't see it coming that he was the beast until she was literally given a vision about it. That she was so fooled by the, you know, the plant professor's demeanor and all that stuff and sweet gestures, that she didn't really see what was going on. Like, one can't be while the other exists. She is either so cut and dry that sees through everything and that hurts her relationships, or she's getting soft and sloppy because she's losing herself a little bit in her relationships. But you can't have them both. Which one is it? Yeah. Let's see, I feel like I had a point that I wanted to make during that whole rant, and then I got lost. So we're just gonna move on. Oh man. I just keep thinking of plot points that didn't get executed or looked at all, but this video is already getting there, so we're just gonna stop. We're just gonna keep going. I'm gonna go into now my segment of things that did not make sense. Wednesday just being straight up disrespectful to her family when she's supposed to be one of the most, like, well thought out, meticulous, mature beings in her family. In fact, part of the fact that she is so fascinating is because she's so incredibly mature and sees the world through such an adult lens. So her being disrespectful to her mom, like she's just an average teenage girl, just, again, does not fit. It's like, do you want Wednesday to be Wednesday, or do you want her to go through average teenagehood like everybody else does? You cannot have it both ways. The dialogue felt incredibly stale and awkward. It genuinely felt like boomers trying to figure out how Gen Xers talk, and then instead of actually, you know, figuring it out accurately, just making shit up and saying, yeah, that must be it. That must be it. I'm sure I've heard my daughter say that, or my granddaughter say that. The amount of times that social media was mentioned was exhaustive, and just added to this vibe. Okay, again, I've already spoken about this, but the Goody healing her and then having to disappear, like, make it make sense. It, like, again, this show goes to such lengths to just add an extra layer of drama that makes it look stupid. It just goes too far, right? Wednesday can't get, like, legitimately tossed back by the super strong resurrected Joseph Crackstone to the point where she's unconscious and they're like, fuck it, let's just get to our business. By the time we do our business, this bitch will be burnt to the ground. Who cares? Right there underground, she'll die from smoke inhalation anyway. Like, no, we have to fucking stab the bitch. And then now, we can't just have Goody, like, heal her through some loose magic system bullshit. If she does so, she's picking between lifetime of potential madness or, like, dying right now. Stupid. Why do you have to go the extra fucking mile? You do not. Just have her heal her. It's stupid already anyways, but at least this way, it's not season 2 bait without you even trying to freaking hide it, okay? Alright. Most of the school just did not make sense, alright? Didn't make sense. I'm sorry. Like the cliched events, the rave in dance, like, just call it the annual rave. Like, it's cute sometimes when shows try to be on the nose, but because everything is so fucking spoon-fed to you, because everything is already so on the nose, this shit just, it piles on and it just makes it worse. Right, the cliched events, the Poe Cup. Like, okay, you're trying to copy the Triwizard tournaments, got it. Yeah, you know, without actually copying the entire Goblet of Fire, but like that aspect, that is what you're trying to copy right now, short of bringing other schools into the mix, right? And the cliched conflict of normies versus mystical creatures or whatever the fuck, outcasts. But then again, some of the outcasts were human, supposedly, right? Like Laurel was a human. Rowan, oh no, he was telekinetic, but that means he's human. So it's just like, the conflict was there for what seemed to be the only reason was that it had always been there. And I don't know about you, but for me, the reasoning of, well, this is how things have always been, has never held up well in real life to me, especially when those things don't really need to be, and definitely not in a show where I'm supposed to be, like, not distracted by really, really unthought out, unimaginative reasoning like that. So, yeah, they really could have tried harder to make that, like, an actual thing. Like, they kind of did a little bit, you know, talking about, like, the pranks that had been played and stuff. But again, it's all just, like, stupid teen bullshit that wouldn't actually warrant... Yeah, I don't know. This, like... None of these conflicts were set up well, is what I'm going to put. And that... making that like a center point was clearly only done so that colonization could be really heavy-handedly tackled. But the thing is that a show like this cannot tackle serious topics, because when it does, it's a joke. Because the show in and of itself is not well done in any way, shape, or form. Nothing is actually handled well. So when you throw in something actually deep and real and something that really is meant to be handled eloquently and well, it just ends up coming off like you're trying too hard to be woke. And I really am going to use that, because while being woke used to be this thing that just meant kind of like you're waking up to the illusions and to all these things, right? Sort of like adjacent to spiritual awakening kind of thing. It's genuinely turned into this like weird madness where we think we can just throw out meaningful, impactful topics and things and not really give them the time of day that they deserve. And the kind of nuanced portrayal and depiction that they deserve. Yeah. Okay, we are on to redeemable qualities. I've said this before in my spoiler-free review. Enid. I mean, I didn't necessarily say that. I said her and Thing's friendship. That. Enid is a redeemable quality. I wasn't even mad that we actually had her wolf out, because unlike everything else in the show, that moment was done with correct timing. That was the perfect time for her to wolf out. It was done in a really heartfelt manner, and yeah, well done. The only character, in my opinion, that they handled, apart from like really bad boomer written for Gen Xer dialogue, was Enid. Thing was handled well. I really liked Thing. I felt for Thing more than I felt for Wednesday and most people in that entire show, except for Enid. The casting of the actual Addams family, I really thought that they did a great job. Everybody fit really well. I thought Catherine Zeta-Jones did a great job as Morticia. She definitely has that like Devil May Care vibe to her, but at the same time is like, I am put together, bitch, and don't you dare say I'm not. I fucking dare you, right? I liked that we finally went with a short and stubby Gomez, because, you know, I never realized how the tall, lanky Gomez of the movie that was my favorite growing up, you know, the Christina Ricci movie, he was not really what Gomez was supposed to be, I guess. He wasn't supposed to be this, like, tall, handsome man. He's supposed to be this, like, kind of shorter, stubbier guy, but who definitely is just as enthralled. Like, him and Morticia are just as enthralled, and they had great chemistry, which I loved. Some of my final thoughts, it didn't get any better. Like, as it went on, the show did not get better. I just felt worn down by it, and, like, at this point, I've invested, 3 minutes of it, so 3 minutes of my life, so that was already too long, so I might as well see where this shit ends, basically. Like, that was the vibe for me. It really felt like this was Addams Family turned CW/Freeform at best, which is a shame, because Addams Family deserves so much better. Jenny Ortega deserves so much better. She really did work the shit out of that script. I was a non-believer at first, but then eventually I was just impressed that I was actually somewhat chuckling occasionally and somewhat having a reaction to anything that wasn't my deep annoyance at being treated like an audience member who doesn't know how to figure anything out on her own. I really wanted to love it. I said it before. I really wanted it to be good. I wanted to really like it. But all in all, when the vibe of the show is what I'm about to describe, it's really difficult for me to enjoy it because I myself as an audience member don't feel respected. And I'm not like, this is not me being like, I'm a victim, oh my god, writers respect me. No. It's, I enjoy adult television, and I'm not talking about the adult of the X sort. No. I love shows with dark topics and morbidity and, witchcraft and all that junk, and I love deep things like colonization and crap like that being brought up. I love that shit. I live for that shit. But when I'm treated as an audience member as if I'm not intelligent enough to grasp onto those things without the writers consistently overexposing their entire story all the time, it just completely dampens the entire thing, takes me out of it, and just makes me feel like, why would you write this? And especially, why would you write this as like a mystery if you can't even let the mystery sit and breathe for 2 seconds before you spoon feed us information? Like, this is how I've been describing the show to people that are in my circle. Ready? It's like a helicopter parent who like really thinks that they're going to allow their baby to actually try a solid food for the first time, and they cut the food properly and it's all done well enough. Like, this child is not gonna choke. You're right there. It's gonna be a great experience because you do eventually have to start eating solids as a child, right? As a little baby. So instead of allowing you to go through your process, help you out if you, like get a little stuck sometimes, this parent instead just gives up the whole crusade and mashes up all your food through the blender to the point where now it's puree again, and fuck you trying solid foods for another 6 months. Like, it's that energy of like, okay, I'll let you, oh my god, just kidding, let me please mash this up for you because if you it's not cute. That is not cute to have that kind of energy in the writing of the show. Especially if you're trying to make some Nancy Drew mystery shit happen. Anyway, we're done. Yeah, if you like the show, cool. I'm glad someone does. I did watch reviews on it before I made my own. Because I wasn't even sure that I was gonna talk about it, but then I got so fucking pissed off on it, like about it, that I was like, nah, fuck it, this has to be said, because people are saying that it's like subpar, but people aren't saying how subpar it actually is, how incredibly fucking spoon-fed to you it is, to the point where I felt like I was in anime half the time, and I'm like, but this is an anime. Over exposition via our protagonist thinking does not work here like it works for anime. And yeah, anyways, I watched some people's review of it and people seem to like it well enough. This one didn't catch me. There was way too much just lunacy and bad writing and like plot lines that lead to nowhere, characters that lead to nowhere, everything that leads to nowhere but tries to lead to everywhere all at the same time, that it just could not grab me and keep me. So anyhow, like I said though, I'd already spent 3 minutes on it and that was far too long, so I might as well see where this fucking shit went. And I do want to say, if I hadn't been very infirmed and also taking care of my very infirmed, but more infirmed than me, boyfriend at the time, we would have never finished the shit. We would have cut it out at episode 1 because we were like, what the fuck is this? Why was I spoon-fed everything? And I'm going in circles. Okay, for those of you that don't know, I read tarot, and I do have a fun announcement about that once I do this. But at the end of every video / podcast episode that does not go on, or that isn't just YouTube exclusive, I do the YouTube exclusive content also has these videos. I'm just saying they don't end up in the podcast. Because, visual medium is required. But I do a little 1-card tarot reading at the end of all my things, and it's just a little general collective reading. And this time I chose the Hermetic Tarot, because I felt it was very appropriate. It's black and white. As if you can tell if you're watching on YouTube as opposed to listening, I am I did my best Wednesday inspired but still me makeup and hairstyle. Instead of the regular braids, I did some French braids, and I pulled out my little hair wispies that I usually do, and I did kind of a collared look. So I'm repping here. So I wanted to rep as well with the tarot deck that I chose, and so I chose the Hermetic Tarot. It's very alchemy, alchemist, very Nostradamus looking. It's a fun one. I really appreciate the Hermetic Tarot. And a card fell out, so hold on. So I'm actually, wow, this is really interesting. Normally I shuffle the deck for a second, but today the card fell out that was meant to be our card, and I just know this. I know it because I said my little prayers before I started filming, which I usually do, but occasionally I'll do it while I'm shuffling, right? Doing this for the highest vibration of all involved, and opening myself up to be a clear vessel for divine guidance. And what's really interesting is I actually shot my astrology episode with our Embodying Mystical Mac astrologer friend Adir today, and there was a lot of there's some parallels here to this and to the reading that we got there, which is really fun. So first of all, we've got the 3 of Cups, and cups, when we talk about them as a suit, we're talking about feelings and the element of water. So being fluid, right? And being fluid in the sense of taking things as they come and doing the best you can with them and putting them back out, kind of like an ocean, right? The ocean, it goes out, its waves go out and then come back to the hole. They're kind of recycled within that ocean water. They're mixed in with more of the ocean that's come from various places, and then they're sent back out again. There's this mutability of water that is really amazing to actually cultivate within yourself and within your lifestyle. Life is not something that is always going to go our way. Life is not something that can be 100% planned. And so when we're rigid, when we're more like rock, or more like rock and less like trees that bend before they break, or even better, the ocean that can literally reform itself time and time again, we embrace change a lot better. We do better when it comes to change, because most of the time when we're resistant by nature, we end up resisting change. And 3, the number 3, we did get the 3 of Cups. It is a number of minor change. It's a number of change that happens on small scales, but it's still a change nonetheless. And in fact, this kind of change, this number 3 level change, so to speak, is the kind of change where your universe, where your spirit guides, whatever you want to call it, God, your angels, your saints, they're kind of just tapping you on the shoulder, being like, hey, that thing that you've been feeling really strongly about, it's about time to deal with that. It's about time to dive into that. And it's at this point that we can really take this matter into our own hands. And you guess what? If we don't take this matter into our own hands, the major change, which is number 5, will eventually come. And I'm referring to the numerology scale. Numbers have different meanings in numerology, but at their basis, we have a journey of 1 to 9 or 0 to 10. And right, with 1 and 0 being the conception of the journey, 1 being the actual first step. And so this is what I'm going off of. Number 5 is dab smack in the middle. and just a little past the middle if you're using the 1 to 9 scale, which means that there will come a time where you'll have to deal with this shit anyways. It may not be in the next season of your life, in the next year, in the next month, but this will come up again. And it will be twice as painful or stressful or insert whatever negative emotion you're struggling with around this here to deal with it at that future date. So deal with it now is kind of what this card is asking you to do. The words associated with this card here are Lord of Abundance. And there's a lot, what I get from this is, this is really fun. Of course, things happen to us a lot, a lot of the time there are things that happen that are out of your control, and victims absolutely exist. However, in a lot of situations, we can shift our perspective to see how we can be part of the solution instead of the problem once we're done feeling our feels around being victimized or whatever, if that is truly what happened. On a small scale, on a big scale, feel your feelings. If you felt victimized, feel those feelings. But as soon as those feelings are ready to be let go of, let them go and step into the place of looking to be the change in your situation. Because at the center of everything in your life is you. And even if things do not happen in a way that you controlled them, you made it happen, even if terrible things happened, at some point in time, there will be a place, a time, a moment where you'll be able to take a deep breath. And in that moment, you will be able to open yourself up to the choice of taking agency, of putting yourself in a place of agency. Don't rush yourself to get there, but also don't keep yourself held back if you're there already, okay? Embrace this change. It's a teeny one. It's just prepping you. And guess what? When we are adept and willing to accept little tiny changes, we become so much better at accepting and handling the bigger ones, good or bad. Because even amazing changes, like for example, I'm so excited for the day that I get to move into a bigger apartment, But even during that day, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna be probably really stressed about packing stuff up, and not necessarily really stressed to the point where I'm not managing my stress well, but there will be stress that I will need to manage, right? There will be money that I will need to spend. Some of my things might get scratched up or this or that. All that to say, just because change is great, some change can be really, really great. It doesn't mean that it doesn't take a certain stress level to deal with, So yeah, embrace the times. They're fertile times. They really are. And step into that Lord of Abundance thing. Be that abundance. You wish that people would be more real with you, but kindly, maybe more kindly. Be more real with people with kindness. You wish that people wouldn't people please and then there'd be misunderstandings in this. See where you're people pleasing. See where you can rectify that. There's always room for you to make some sort of change. And this is what we're being called to. So, this is the card for those of you that like to see them. If you're on the podcast, so it's kind of like a flower, like a lotus flower coming out of some clouds. And then you have 3 cups around the lotus flower. And they look like they're like plants growing out of these cups. And yeah, and then some of the flowers that are growing out of the cups are like spewing water. And it kind of makes this like cool little cup flower fountain in a cloud sort of thing. yeah, the Hermetic Tarot is very, very intricate and kind of difficult to describe, but I did my best. Podcast people, if you want to go ahead and hop on the internet, so you can look up the Hermetic Tarot. You will recognize it. It's black and white. It's got a red box. Or if you just want to hop on the YouTube channel, give me a view, and check out the Hermetic Tarot at the end of this video, do so. And if you are interested in a tarot reading of your very own, I do own different decks, and you're definitely welcome to request one if you've seen different ones and some of them call to you here on my channel. But basically, I have graduated from by donation readings, and now I am offering 3-card readings for $40 each. So they're pretty extensive in spite of being 3 cards. Like, you would be surprised how much information you actually get out of 3 cards. And you can book them through calendly.com/mysticalmac. Go ahead and go on there. I have a few sessions available per week. I will do them over Google Meet, and yeah, that's the tea. I'm really excited to be charging and actually feel so good about it. It's a really big step for me in my money mindset journey. If that's something you want me to talk about, I'm kind of due for a personal episode anyway, so let me know in the comments if that's the case. And if you've made it here so far, I'm so appreciative. Thank you. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm so grateful that you're here at the end, and even leave a comment. Let me know what you liked about this. Let me know what you didn't. If it was my attitude, I get it. I totally get it. I just ask that you're kind in the comments, because there's no reason to not be kind to each other. And I understand I just did a video where I had a really shitty attitude, and you know what? If I were to actually sit down with people about this show, again, as I've said in previous videos where I've had a shitty attitude, I would be very respectful. I would ask constructive questions. I would speak in constructive ways. This is not me talking directly to those people. And if it was a video that is like, hey, dear people who made Wednesday the show, I would not have executed it the way that I did. So I hope you were entertained by my irateness and my rage. That really just boils down to I really wanted to fucking love this, and I just didn't, and that sucks for me, but that is just for me. So hopefully you loved it, and if you didn't, hopefully this video brought you some fire and joy, and I'm sure that I'll see you very soon. I'm a little lagging on the anime rewatches and stuff, but I appreciate you guys being patient with me while I get my life together, because for the first time in 28 years, I actually feel like my life is coming together. Yeah, I really look forward to making these videos, and there are so many positive changes that are happening. So I really appreciate you being patient with me while I'm on that journey, and for going on that journey with me on occasion when I talk about it. So yeah, stay mystical, stay grounded, please like, please subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye.